Let's start with our first news. Jiri believes Alex Pereira has what it takes to defeat Ciryl Gane and potentially become the UFC interim heavyweight champion. It's a bold prediction, but coming from someone who has shared the cage with Alex twice, it carries serious weight. Jiri didn't hesitate when giving his opinion, making it clear that he sees real danger in Alex's evolution, especially as he continues to grow into a heavier division. He explained that one of the biggest factors is Alex's physical transformation. According to Jiri, Alex's weight is clearly going up, and with that added size comes even more power. He emphasized that Alex is now strong enough to compete with true heavyweights, not just survive, but actually dominate in certain areas. And when it comes to striking, Jiri believes Alex holds a clear advantage. In his words, the stand-up battle could favor Alex thanks to his precision, timing, and devastating knockout ability. However, Jiri didn't completely dismiss Ciryl Gane. He acknowledged that Gane's movement could present problems. Gane is known for being one of the most agile heavyweights in the division, constantly moving, creating angles, and making it difficult for opponents to duel and clean shots. That dynamic could test Alex in ways he hasn't experienced before at heavyweight. Still, Jiri leans toward Alex having the edge overall. What makes this even more interesting is Jiri's personal history with Alex. The two have already fought twice, with Jiri losing both bouts by TKO. Despite those losses, Jiri isn't backing down. In fact, he's now openly considering a move up to heavyweight himself, possibly setting the stage for a trilogy fight with Alex in a completely new division. Jiri made it clear that weight classes don't limit his mindset. He said he doesn't really care which division he fights in, although he admits that light heavyweight is where he feels his best shape. Still, he has experience fighting bigger opponents. He pointed back to his time in Rizin, where he faced heavyweight fighters multiple times and proved he could handle the size difference. He believes he can push his body further, gain more strength, and still maintain his key advantages like speed, endurance, and precision. For Jiri, the move to heavyweight isn't just possible, it's a good idea, and one that could open the door to massive fights in the future. Move on to another news. Lately, fans have been criticizing Khamzat for his inactivity in the octagon. Back in 2020, he made headlines by fighting 3 times in just 66 days after signing with the UFC, showing a level of work ethic that few could match. But since 2022, his activity has slowed dramatically, with only 1 fight per year, and gaps of 12 to 13 months between bouts. Naturally, this led to backlash from fans questioning his commitment and consistency. Khamzat didn't shy away from addressing the criticism. In an interview with Beyond the Win, he made his stance crystal clear. He said, "I don't care. These guys, I make millions. People just talking and doing nothing. Like if you do your work, I don't need to go and watch you or how you do, how often you work out, how much you get. I care about myself. You know, how much I make, how much I fight. It's different." He explained that his focus has always been on his own journey and personal growth. For Khamzat, it's not about satisfying the critics or proving anything to the doubters. It's about living his dream and maximizing his potential both in and out of the octagon. "I've been living in the gym. Now I'm living my dream. I make more money. Like outside the UFC, look at who I became," Khamzat. "Wherever I go, they want to sponsor. They want to do different things with me, and they're sending me this and that," he said with pride. Khamzat emphasized that his value isn't measured by how often he fights, but by the impact he makes when he does. His ability to generate attention, attract sponsors, and build a brand speaks volumes about his success. He's turned what some see as a flaw, his inactivity, into a strategic advantage, focusing on long-term gains rather than short-term appearances. Despite the criticism, Khamzat remains confident and unapologetic. His journey shows that being selective and strategic with fights doesn't diminish his dominance or relevance. Instead, it reinforces the idea that he's in control of his career, prioritizing quality over quantity, and making sure that every step he takes in the sport and in life is calculated to maximize his success. For Khamzat, it's not just about fighting, it's about building a legacy and living life on his own terms, showing the world that real champions create their own path, regardless of what anyone else says. Move on to another news. Jorge Masvidal and Joe Pyfer both picked Sean Strickland to beat Khamzat and come out on top at UFC 328. Their reasoning is clear, and it centers around one major issue they see in Khamzat's style: holding fighters down out of fear they might escape. Both agreed that this approach, while effective at times, doesn't show the kind of aggression or striking ability that makes fights exciting. Jorge said, "I want Sean Strickland to win. I don't like the inactivity of Khamzat. I got nothing bad to say about the man, but it's just, you know, I think I'd rather see somebody with the flag holding that belt." Joe added emphasis to what many fans have criticized in Khamzat's grappling. I need a striker. None of that crotch sniffing. Just sit there and sniff crotches, and you have a chance to strike, but you're just holding a guy down because you're so scared they're going to get away, he explained. Both agreed that wrestling without purpose isn't fighting. It's merely control. I took him down, but I went right to work, Jorge said, emphasizing that every takedown should lead to advancement, a submission or strikes, not just maintaining a halfway position. They highlighted Sean Strickland's ability to handle tough situations in the cage. Jorge pointed out that he's been in the room with Strickland when he was going against top wrestlers and national champions, and Strickland always showed an impressive understanding of overhooks, using the fence to get back to his feet and employing his hips effectively. He's not easy to take down, but he's even harder to hold down. I think this is going to be the first guy that actually challenges Khamzat in that position. Even if he gets a takedown, he's not just going to catch a breath. He's going to have to work even harder to maintain control, Jorge explained. Both Masvidal and Pyfer praised Strickland's work ethic and stamina. He doesn't get tired and is constantly putting up attempts to get back to his feet. Jorge emphasized that Strickland has the kind of American fundamental wrestling where if you don't get away, you're held down indefinitely. Sean knows how to get away, man, so I got my money on Sean on this one, bro, Jorge concluded. Joe agreed completely, highlighting that Strickland's ability to escape and strike back makes him a serious threat to Khamzat's usual game plan and gives him the edge in this matchup. Move on to another news. Dricus du Plessis says he would consider fighting for the BMF belt, but only when he's at the back end of his career. He made it clear that while the opportunity is tempting, it's not something he's chasing right now. I think I would love to, but I mean, it has changed weight and it can still happen if there's ever the opportunity. I would take it, but not now, Dricus explained. For him, the BMF belt represents more than just a title. It's about going out on his own terms, doing what he loves, and leaving a mark on the sport. He sees it as a way to cap off his career with something exciting, something that captures the spirit of being a fighter who's fearless, relentless, and unapologetically aggressive. I believe that's something for the back end of the career, more at the back end of the career. I would love to just go out and do what I love, and that is be a BMF, he said with determination. Dricus' mindset shows that he values timing and legacy over chasing every opportunity. He wants to ensure that if he goes after the BMF belt, it's at a point where it can truly mean something, where he can give it his all without compromising the rest of his career. For him, the focus has always been on building a strong foundation, excelling in his prime, and then taking on challenges like the BMF title when he's ready to make a statement. This approach highlights Dricus' maturity and strategic thinking as a fighter. He's not just looking to win belts. He's looking to create moments that define him. The BMF belt, in his eyes, is more than just a championship. It's a symbol of going out with purpose, intensity, and leaving a legacy that fans and fighters alike will remember. Move on to another news. Ilia Topuria and Islam Makhachev went back and forth yesterday after a new interview sparked some tension. Ilia claimed that he was very close to fighting Islam on the White House card, but that Islam pulled out due to an injury. Ilia said it was very, very close, and that hours before the official announcement of the card, he knew he was going to face Islam. However, just hours later, he got a call saying Islam had been injured and that he would be fighting Justin Gaethje instead. According to Ilia, the fight with Islam was literally on the edge of happening. Islam fired back immediately on X, addressing Ilia's claims. He wrote, "I'm tired of hearing these made-up stories from Topuria and his team. I got the call and accepted the fight at the White House. The next day, I was told he asked for an unrealistic purse. The UFC declined and he pulled out. That's it. Nothing more to it. Even his manager confirmed it. Every interview you give tells a different story. You pulled out and you know it." The back and forth continued online, with a fan jokingly accusing Ali Abdelaziz of writing Islam's tweet. Islam clarified, "Today, not him." When asked why he didn't just fight to shut him up, Islam responded, "Ask him why not accept the fight in the White House." Islam later elaborated in detail about the negotiations, explaining that it was a non-stop process from midnight to nearly noon the next day. He spent hours on the phone with Hunter and Ilia, negotiating terms for the potential fight. Islam described it as exhausting, stating that he didn't sleep at all during the negotiations. He explained that initially, they were told Ilia wouldn't be on the card, and then suddenly they were asked if they could fight Islam or Gaethje. They wanted the fight with Islam, not because it was easier or harder, but because of the money involved and the significance of the matchup. Despite agreeing to fight if terms were met, the financial expectations weren't aligned, and the UFC declined, which is why the fight didn't materialize. Islam emphasized that there was no deception from the UFC or himself. It was simply that the terms were not agreed upon. This detailed account confirms that negotiations were intense and complex, and it explains why the fight never officially happened, leaving the situation open to misinterpretation in interviews. Meanwhile, Ilia predicted he would knock out Justin Gaethje in the first round at the White House card, showing his confidence and keeping the focus on his upcoming performance. Move on to another news. Ilia Topuria is confident as he previews his upcoming fight against Justin Gaethje, sharing his thoughts on how the matchup will play out. He acknowledged that many people are saying this is a super easy fight and that Gaethje will get knocked out quickly, but Ilia reminded everyone that Justin is a very tough guy with a ton of experience. He emphasized that while it may look easy from the outside, this is a challenge that requires focus and respect for his opponent's skills. Ilia believes that every fighter has a moment, and for him, this is his moment. He said the victory is already within his grasp based on Gaethje's fighting style and how he approaches each fight. According to Ilia, he has studied Gaethje closely and sees an opening that he can capitalize on, predicting that the fight will end quickly. Everyone has their moment, and I feel like this is my moment, and the victory is mine, Ilia said with conviction, showing his confidence in his technique and strategy. He compared the upcoming fight to Charles Oliveira, noting that Gaethje is not the type to back up or move defensively when pressured. Instead, he tends to offer a fight, which Ilia sees as a critical mistake against someone with his level of technique and precision striking. I don't see him as someone who's going to trade and then back up or fight while moving backward. I think he's the kind of guy who offers a fight, and when you do that, you're making a mistake, especially when you're fighting someone like me, Ilia explained. His prediction is clear. The fight will likely end in the first round. Ilia's confidence stems from his technical mastery, awareness of Gaethje's tendencies, and his ability to exploit openings quickly. He has prepared meticulously for every scenario and believes his combination of speed, precision, and fight IQ will allow him to dominate. From the opening bell. By analyzing Gaethje's patterns, Ilia is ready to execute a plan that maximizes his strengths and minimizes risk, showing why he is considered one of the most dangerous rising stars in the division. His first-round prediction demonstrates his belief in his own skills and his readiness to capitalize on any opportunity that Gaethje presents, making this fight one of the most anticipated matchups in the upcoming card. Move on to another news. Josh Thompson fired back at Nate Diaz following his comments on Theo Van's podcast, reigniting an old rivalry. The two originally fought back in 2013, with Josh winning via second-round TKO, making him the only fighter to finish Nate with strikes, not including the doctor stoppage loss to Jorge Masvidal. Josh addressed Nate's recent claims, pointing out that in MMA or boxing, neither of them has truly been finished cleanly. He recalled a moment where Nate tried to frame their first fight as something more dramatic than it was. Josh criticized Nate for always calling him out, saying, "He wants to fight me now. He's always calling me out. He's a podcaster. He's calling me out." I'm like, bro, who really won? He reminded everyone that Nate himself begged Conor McGregor for a rematch, proving a point about consistency and credibility. Josh added, "Now I get it. Conor's a way bigger money fight than I am, but don't say you didn't do that. You were begging. You were on your knees." He went on to explain how this started to bother him because he's always maintained professionalism in all interactions. When Nate signed a fight with Masvidal, Josh even promoted it on his podcast with Big John McCarthy, showing support. He recalled being offered a job on the Fan Neo show at the desk, only to hear comments implying he couldn't be trusted to speak freely if Nate was involved. Josh clarified, "Brother, I'm not that guy. Before I fought Gil, man, you and I were chill." Josh also mentioned a moment where Nate allegedly tried to sabotage him so he couldn't work the show, which left Josh frustrated. After the Masvidal fight, there was talk of a potential matchup between Josh and Nate. Josh admitted he didn't hold his breath about it, but remained open-minded. "Cool, if you can get a promoter to pay us, I'm definitely down, 100%, who wouldn't be down?" This response highlighted Josh's combination of professionalism, confidence, and willingness to step up if the circumstances are right, contrasting sharply with Nate's repeated calls for a rematch. Josh made it clear that while history favors him in their previous encounter, he's ready to let actions, not words, settle any lingering debate about who truly deserves the spotlight. His response was measured but firm, establishing that he won't be distracted by chatter and remains focused on his career and future opportunities.